Every morning, you're already performing a ritual, even if you don't call it one. Some people roll over, grab their phone, and let headlines, emails, and gossip set the temperature of their soul. But the Stoics chose differently. They didn't borrow moods, they forged them. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings with a reminder. At dawn, remember, I am rising to do the work of a human being. He didn't wait for motivation. He built standards. And here's the secret: your first thoughts don't just pass by. Neuroscience shows they carve grooves in your brain, shaping how you react for the next 16 waking hours. Waste those minutes, you hand your day away. Guard them, and you build strength. So today, we take the Stoic playbook and translate it into 10 declarations. Each one is a tool, quote, drill, and metric. Not philosophy as theory, philosophy as practice. Because you don't need another resolution, you need a ritual. Truth 1, I am responsible for how today feels. Every morning you step into a world that doesn't ask for your permission. Traffic deadlines, unread messages, the world throws chaos your way before you've even had breakfast. Most people surrender their mood before the day has even started. But the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they understood something most of us forget: the day doesn't decide your mood. You do. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of the Holocaust, once wrote, "The last of human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." If he could hold on to that truth in a concentration camp, what excuse do we have when a stranger cuts us off in traffic? The truth is, most people outsource their emotions. They let a boss's bad mood, a rude comment online, or even a red light dictate whether they feel strong or broken. That is emotional slavery. When you tie your peace to the behavior of others, you live as their puppet. The Stoics taught a different way. You may not control what happens around you, but you always control what happens within you. Think of it like the weather. Some days are sunny, some stormy. You can't command the sky, but you can choose the coat you wear. Responsibility is the coat. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your own mind. And science agrees. Neuroscience studies show that simply labeling your emotions, saying I feel stressed or I feel angry, reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, and increases control in the prefrontal cortex. Translation: taking responsibility doesn't just sound noble. It literally rewires your brain for resilience. Picture this. Two people lose the same job. One collapses, drowning in bitterness. The other uses the loss as fuel, starting a business, building a life they actually respect. Same event, different sovereign. What changed? Not the world. The mind meeting the world. Marcus Aurelius himself faced betrayal, plague, and endless wars. Yet in his private journal, he reminded himself daily, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your suffering isn't written in the event. It's written in your judgment. And the pen is in your hand. Here's your morning drill. Place your hand over your heart. Take a slow 4-4 before breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. And as you breathe, declare out loud, I am responsible for how today feels. My emotions are my choices. Just 30 seconds. No apps, no gurus. Just you reclaiming authorship over your own state. Now measure it. Track your afternoons on a simple reactivity scale from 1 to 5. 1 means calm, unshaken. 5 means constantly triggered. Aim for a 20% drop in emotional spikes within 7 days. This isn't about perfection, it's about proof. What gets measured gets managed, and here's your mantra. Say it with conviction, I choose my weather. Because storms will come, but you're not a leaf in the wind. You are the sailor of your own ship. If this truth sparks something inside you, write it down in the comments, I choose my weather. Share this with one person who keeps losing their peace to other people's moods. And stay with me, because the next truth will show you how to guard that peace like a fortress. Nothing enters my peace without my permission. Truth 2. Nothing enters my peace without my permission. Your mind is a fortress. But for most people, the gates are wide open. A careless text, a rude comment, a piece of bad news, and suddenly strangers are living rent-free inside your head. Marcus Aurelius warned us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Today it's time to close those gates and build that fortress back. Peace isn't something you stumble across. Peace is something you protect. Imagine if your home had no doors, no locks, no walls. Anyone could walk and stomp mud on the carpet, steal your food, break your furniture. That's exactly what most of us do with our peace. We leave it unguarded. The Stoics knew the difference between slavery and freedom wasn't chains. It was control of the inner world. External events will always happen: insults, disappointments, betrayals. But whether they disturb your peace, that's a matter of permission. And modern psychology agrees. Studies show that when you pause before reacting, your brain literally shifts from the amygdala, the fight or flight alarm, to the prefrontal cortex, the center of logic and choice. That pause is the gate. That pause is power. Picture two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One pounds the steering wheel, screams at strangers who can't hear him, and arrives at work drained. The other turns on an audiobook, takes a deep breath, and arrives calm. Same traffic, same event, but a different gatekeeper. Marcus Aurelius himself lived like this. Emperor of Rome, facing gossip, assassination attempts, wars, and plagues. Yet in his private journal, he reminded himself, if you are troubled by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your judgment about it. He refused to give events access to his inner world without permission. And that's the test for us today. Who holds the key to your peace? A stranger online? A coworker's tone? Or only you? Here's the drill. The two-breath. Pause. Before you fire off that angry text, before you snap back, before you hit send on that email, stop. Inhale, exhale. Then once more. Inhale, exhale. 2 full breaths. And then remind yourself, I am the guardian of my inner world. It sounds small, but those 2 breaths are the difference between reaction and response, between losing your peace and protecting it. For the next 7 days, track 10 pauses. Write them down the moment that trigger your response. Notice how many regretful replies disappear. Notice how much calmer your evenings feel. By the end of the week, you'll likely see a 20 to 30% drop in emotional spikes. That's not wishful thinking, it's measurable. Now say this firmly, like posting a sign on your fortress wall. My peace is private property. No trespassers, no squatters, no invaders without your permission. And if this truth landed with you, write it down in the comments. My peace is private property. Share this with someone who keeps giving away their peace too cheaply. And stay with me, because the next truth will show you how to stop wasting energy outside your control. It all begins with 3 simple words: focus on control. Truth 3. Today I focus only on what I can control. Most anxiety is borrowed from things you can't control. The weather, the economy, the opinions of strangers. Epictetus gave us the dividing line. Some things are up to us, others are not. It sounds simple, but live it and you'll feel lighter than most of the world. Today we sharpen that line until it cuts through your worry like a blade. Anxiety is often just attention misapplied. Think about it when you worry about whether someone likes you, whether a meeting will go well, whether the world is collapsing. You're spending emotional currency on things outside your circle of control. The Stoics taught if it's not within your reasoned choice, your thoughts, your actions, it doesn't belong to you. Everything else is rented space, and the more you invest outside the circle, the poorer you feel. Modern data proves the point. Psychologists estimate that 85% of the things people worry about never actually happen. And of the 15% that do, nearly 80% are less severe than feared. In other words, almost all of your anxious investments deliver near zero returns. So the Stoic principle isn't just ancient wisdom, it's financially wise. Stop throwing energy into bad stocks. Double down on the only assets you truly own: your effort, your discipline, your choices. Picture a soldier on the battlefield. He cannot control the weather. He cannot control whether the enemy advances, but he can sharpen his sword. He can position his shield. He can steady his breath. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the middle of war, reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He knew that the only true freedom is to act well inside the circle, no matter the storm raging outside of it. And your daily battles are no different. The enemy might be an unpredictable boss, market fluctuations, or a partner's mood. But the principle is the same: sharpen your sword, your discipline, and the fight feels less chaotic. Here's the drill. Grab an index card and draw 3 circles. Circle 1, control. Circle 2, influence. Circle 3, no control. Now take today's worries and sort them. Your boss's opinion, circle 2. Tomorrow's weather, circle 3. Your workout today, circle 1. Act only on circle 1. Schedule one step in circle 2. Release circle 3 completely. Do this 5 times a week. In just a month, you'll start to see anxiety shrink, not because life got easier, but because you stopped dragging the uncontrollable into your heart. Here's how to measure it. 5 index cards a week. Track how much time you spend doom scrolling, replaying worries, or overthinking. After 30 days, you should see at least a 30% reduction in wasted worry time. That's not abstract, it's trackable. Time block your day and watch the hours freed up for creation instead of rumination. Now plant this mantra like a warrior raising a flag: effort in, outcome out. You pour in the effort. The universe sorts the outcomes. That's not your job. And if this truth hit home for you, write the mantra in the comments right now: effort in, outcome out. Share this video with someone drowning in worries they can control. And stay tuned, because next, tackle an even subtler trap tying your worth to today's outcomes. Truth 4. My worth is not measured by today's outcomes. Every morning you step into a courtroom without even realizing it. The judge. Your own mind, the jury. Social media likes your boss's reaction, the number on the bathroom scale, the balance in your bank account, and every single day you put your worth on trial. But the Stoics taught a radical truth: your worth is not tied to today's verdict. Seneca once wrote, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Outcomes change. Value endures. Here's why it matters. When you tie your identity to results, you turn yourself into a roller coaster. Land the deal, you're on top of the world. Lose the client, you're worthless. Win the race, you're a champion. Lose your nobody, that's not strength, that's slavery. And modern psychology confirms it. Studies show that people who base their self-esteem on external achievements experience higher anxiety, greater stress, and a 40% higher risk of depression. Why? Because outcomes are unstable. Virtue is not. Marcus Aurelius never wrote, I am valuable because I won the war. Instead, he reminded himself daily that worth lies in living according to reason, courage, justice, and self-control. Things no emperor, no enemy, no storm of fate could ever take away. Picture this: a craftsman in ancient Rome. One day his pottery sells out. The next day, not a single piece moves. If his identity depends on sales, he lives in torment. But if his identity rests on his craft, his effort, his honesty, his care, he stays steady. Seneca lived this lesson himself. Once among the wealthiest men in Rome, he was stripped of property, power, and prestige when he was exiled. Yet in exile, he wrote some of his wisest letters, proving that value comes not from possessions or applause, but from a soul aligned with virtue. So how do we practice this truth? Each evening, draw 2 columns in your journal: effort and lesson. In the first, write what you genuinely tried today: study for 30 minutes, held your temper, went for a run. In the second, write what you learned, even from failure. No judgment, just data. Do this for 10 nights and something powerful happens. Your self-respect begins to rise independently of success or failure. You realize that progress is earned, but worth is inherent. Here's how to measure it. 10 journal entries in 2 weeks. Track your sleep latency, the time it takes to fall asleep. Most people who separate worth from outcomes report falling asleep 20 to 30% faster because they're no longer replaying the day's wins or losses in self-judgment. Now say this firmly, as if engraving it into stone: worth is inherent. Progress is earned. If this truth hits you, drop the mantra in the comments right now. Worth is inherent. Progress is earned. Share it with someone crushed under perfectionism. And don't stop here, because the next truth sharpens the blade even further. It's not enough to intend good action. You must act. Truth 5. I will act, not just intend. Every morning, millions of people wake up with the best intentions. I'll start my book today. I'll finally call my parents. I'll exercise after work. But by nightfall, nothing has happened. Intentions without actions are like arrows without a bow. They never leave the ground. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each dawn, at dawn I am rising to the work of a human being. He didn't write about what he intended to do. He wrote about what he did. And here's the brutal but liberating truth: life doesn't reward intentions. Life rewards actions. Why does this matter so much? Think of the graveyards of abandoned projects, half-written journals, and broken promises. They're filled with people who had good intentions but lacked follow-through. Modern data backs this up. Researchers at Dominican University found that people who wrote down their goals were 42% more likely to achieve them. But here's the catch: writing them down is just the first step. The real danger zone is the gap between planning and execution. That's the place where dreams die. The Stoics despise delay. Seneca warned us, while we are postponing, life speeds by. If you're waiting for the perfect timing, you'll be waiting forever. Because the person who acts imperfectly always beats the person who plans perfectly, but never moves. Let me give you a picture. Consider Thomas Edison. He didn't wait for a perfect idea. He built, tested, failed, and repeated over 10,000 experiments before inventing the practical light bulb. When asked how he endured failure, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not theory, that's practice. Or look at Marcus Aurelius himself. His meditations weren't written for an audience. They weren't philosophy lectures. They were reminders, corrections, commands to himself to act. That's why we still read them today, because they're not about what he wanted to do. They're about what he lived. So here's your Stoic drill, something called implementation intention. Write it like this: at time, in place, I will, specific action for X minutes. Example: at 7 a.m. in my kitchen, I will write one page for 15 minutes. Or at 6 p.m. in the park, I will walk for 20 minutes. Why does this work? Because it links time, place, and action. And studies show people who use this method are 91% more likely to complete their task than those who just vaguely intend. Your metric is simple: 5 completions out of 7 days equals a win. Track it with a yes or no. Did you act or did you not? Don't measure perfection. Measure follow-through. Over a month, this tiny shift will rebuild your identity from "I intend" to "I act." Now say this out loud with force: less promise, more proof. Because when you start living like this, something shifts. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop needing the perfect plan. You stop being the person who only talks about change, and you become the person who does it. The Stoics remind us virtue is not knowledge alone. Virtue is lived. So here's your move. If this truth hit you, comment the mantra right now: less promise, more proof. Share this with a friend who keeps saying someday. And stay tuned, because the next truth flips obstacles upside down. It's not just about surviving challenges. It's about using them to grow stronger. Truth 6. Every challenge is a chance to grow stronger. The same fire that melts butter hardens steel. The same storm that sinks one ship propels another forward. Every challenge you face carries 2 possible outcomes. It can break you, or it can build you. The Stoics believe the choice is always yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." So what if you stopped seeing obstacles as punishments and started seeing them as training grounds? This isn't about toxic positivity. It's about practical strength, about reframing adversity into advantage. Modern psychology agrees. Research from Stanford on stress mindset found that people who believe stress can enhance growth are 43% more productive and report higher well-being than those who see stress as purely harmful. The situation doesn't change. The interpretation does. The obstacle doesn't shrink, you grow larger. Life will never stop throwing problems, but you can stop treating them as enemies and start treating them as weights in the gym of character. Think of Admiral James Stockdale, shot down over Vietnam and held as a prisoner of war for 7 long years. He credited Stoicism for his survival. He said you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality. Stockdale didn't deny suffering. He transformed suffering into strength. Marcus Aurelius lived this too. He lost children, fought plagues, led wars. Yet his writings remain calm, disciplined, and wise. He didn't pray for fewer obstacles. He prayed to be strong enough to meet them. That's the Stoic formula. Hardship is not a detour. Hardship is the path. Here's a practice you can try: the obstacle audit. Take 3 minutes and write down a day's hardest challenge. Then answer 3 questions. What exactly is blocking me? What skill is this training? Patience, courage, creativity? And what is the smallest action I can take right now? This simple drill transforms obstacles from monsters into mentors. It gives meaning to pain and direction to effort. Do this 3 times this week. Track your fear on a 1 to 5 scale before and after. Aim for just a 1-point drop in intensity. It seems small, but over time, your nervous system learns a new equation: obstacle equals training. And when you need to remember this truth, say the mantra firmly: the way is through. Because with this mindset, setbacks stop feeling like stop signs. They become detours leading to mastery. A rejection letter becomes resilience training. A failed workout becomes discipline training. A difficult conversation becomes courage training. Every situation becomes material for growth. You stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this teaching me? And that one question shifts victimhood into victory. If this truth resonated with you, type it into the comments right now. The way is through. Share this with a friend battling a challenge. They may need this reframing more than they know. And keep watching, because the next truth tackles one of the silent killers of joy and progress: comparison. Truth 7: I will not compare my journey to anyone else's. Imagine running a marathon, but instead of focusing on your lane, you keep staring at the runner beside you. You trip, burn out, maybe even quit. Yet that's how most of us live. Our eyes glued to someone else's highlight reel, our confidence cut down by comparison. Epictetus warned, keep your attention on what is your own affair. The Stoics knew that joy and momentum are assassinated the moment you measure your life against another's. Comparison is nothing new, but modern technology has weaponized it. Social media isn't just a window anymore, it's a scoreboard. Studies show that heavy Instagram users report 26% higher rates of depression and 31% more anxiety, mostly because of comparison. And here's the problem: when you compare, you mismeasure. You see outcomes, not effort. You see surface, not struggle. You trade your unique timeline for someone else's projection. And the price you pay is joy. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. Did he waste his days comparing himself to Alexander the Great? None. He reminded himself daily, it is not what others do or say, it is what you do that matters. Or take Theodore Roosevelt centuries later. He famously said, comparison is the thief of joy. And he was right. Because when your mind is chasing someone else's race, you abandon your own. Growth doesn't happen in comparison. It happens in focus. So how do you practice this? Try what I call the comparison detox. First, mute or unfollow 10 accounts that trigger envy. Second, replace them with 3 creators or teachers who inspire skills, not status. And third, each evening, journal one personal win, big or small. This simple process cleans your input, redirects your attention, and records your unique progress. Measure it for yourself. Track your screen time. Aim for a 25% drop in mindless scrolls within 2 weeks. Then review your journal after 14 days. Do you feel more momentum? Less envy? The numbers will show you what matters. Attention regained is confidence restored. And here's the mantra to anchor this truth. Say it with firmness. Run your lap, your race, your lane, your pace. Because when you cut comparison, you cut noise. You notice your own wins instead of their walls. You measure today against yesterday, not against strangers. And slowly momentum builds. You may not have their lifestyle, their luck, or their likes, but you have progress that's yours. And progress, not applause, is what makes life worthwhile. If this truth hit home, comment right now. Run your lap. Share this with someone stuck in the scroll of envy. They might need this reset more than they realize. And keep going, because the next truth is the real architect of progress. Not motivation, not moods. Discipline. Truth 8. I choose discipline over motivation. Motivation is like the weather. Some mornings it's sunny and you feel unstoppable. Other mornings it's pouring rain, and you can even get out of bed. But here's the secret: the Stoics didn't wait for motivation. They built discipline. Marcus Aurelius didn't write, I hope I feel inspired today. He wrote, at dawn I am rising to the work of a human being. Cato the Younger walked barefoot in Roman winters, not because it was comfortable, but because he was training discipline. And discipline, unlike motivation, shows up rain or shine. Research today confirms what the Stoics already knew. People who rely on motivation rarely follow through. A 2019 study from the University of Chicago showed that those who committed to systems, not moods, achieved 42% higher consistency in their goals. Motivation is fleeting, it's dopamine spikes that fade. But discipline is architecture. It's a structure that holds even when storms come. That's why Navy SEAL Jocko Willink says discipline equals freedom. Because when you act regardless of how you feel, you free yourself from emotional slavery. Think about Olympic athletes. Do you really believe they wake up every single day motivated to train at 5 in the morning in freezing cold weather? No. They show up because discipline has been installed deeper than feeling. Seneca put it bluntly, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Why? Because environment shapes discipline more than mood. Even modern entrepreneurs echo this truth. Elon Musk once said, "When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor." That's not motivation, that's discipline. So how do you build it? Try the first rep rule. When faced with resistance, commit to just one rep, one push-up, one sentence, one phone call. Then record that first rep daily in a log and celebrate initiation, not perfection. This flips your brain. Instead of wrestling with whether you feel like it, you prove to yourself that action precedes emotion. Momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. Here's the benchmark: 21st reps in 30 days. That's 20 mornings where discipline, not feeling, dictated the outcome. Track them, and at the end of the month, notice what's different. Energy is higher, excuses are fewer. Self-trust is stronger. The data proves it, starting is winning. Say this mantra firmly: systems keep promises, feelings can't. Because moods are weak, systems are strong. And when you choose discipline over motivation, everything changes. Workouts stop depending on energy. Writing stops depending on inspiration. Commitments stop depending on moods. You become predictable to yourself, and that's the ultimate form of confidence. Imagine waking up and knowing that no matter how you feel, you will execute. That's Stoic freedom. That's sovereignty. If this truth landed with you, comment right now: discipline over motivation. Share this with a friend who keeps waiting for the right time. And stay with me, because the next truth sharpens the lens even further: gratitude. Not fantasy gratitude, but a Stoic practice that rewires how you see the world. Truth 9. Gratitude will shape how I see the day. Every morning you wake up with a choice: will you see scarcity or abundance? Most people open their eyes and immediately scroll their phone, comparing, complaining, consuming. But the Stoics began differently. They practiced gratitude not as a fluffy hallmark sentiment, but as a weapon against despair. Seneca reminded himself, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Gratitude stops the waste. It trains your eyes to see what's already working, what's already miraculous. And neuroscience confirms it. When gratitude shapes your attention, everything changes. Psychologists call gratitude a meta-emotion because it reframes every other feeling. In a UC Davis study, people who kept daily gratitude logs reported 25% higher happiness levels and slept 30 minutes longer each night. Why? Because gratitude rewires your baseline mood. It interrupts envy, comparison, and chronic dissatisfaction. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, imagining the loss of what they had so they could value it more deeply. Picture losing your health, your loved ones, your eyesight, and suddenly today's problems shrink in scale. Gratitude isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about realizing that even in imperfection, you have enough to stand strong. Think about Marcus Aurelius. Despite ruling an empire plagued by war and disease, he began his reflections by thanking the teachers and mentors who shaped him. The most powerful man in the world started not with strategy, but with gratitude. Fast forward to modern times, Oprah Winfrey credits much of her resilience to decades of keeping a gratitude journal. She once wrote, "If you focus on what you have, you'll end up having more. If you focus on what you don't have, you'll never have enough." Ancient emperor, modern billionaire, same truth: gratitude is leverage. So here's your Stoic drill: the 3x10s. Spend 10 seconds naming one person you'd miss if they were gone. 10 seconds naming one ability you'd mourn if you lost it. And 10 seconds naming one resource you overlook daily, like clean water, your eyesight, or even your phone. That's 30 seconds total. No excuses. Write them down if you can. This sharpens your appreciation radar and brings invisible blessings into focus. Do this for 14 mornings straight. Record your baseline mood each day on a 1 to 5 scale. Expect at least a 1-point lift in your default state of contentment. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a data-backed performance enhancer. Say this with conviction, nothing ordinary about today. Because today's breath, today's heartbeat, today's chances, none of it is guaranteed. And here's the impact. When gratitude shapes how you see the day, traffic becomes patience practice. Work stress becomes proof you have work. Even setbacks become reminders that you're still in the game. You stop fixating on missing pieces and start noticing the masterpiece already around you. Gratitude doesn't erase hardship, but it equips you with perspective. And perspective is performance. Athletes, leaders, parents all report more resilience, less burnout, and deeper relationships when they train gratitude, because they stop overlooking the obvious blessings right in front of them. If this truth hits you, type in the comments right now, nothing ordinary about today. Share this with someone who starts mornings in complaint mode. And stay tuned, because the final truth completes the circle, ending the day stronger than you started. You won't want to miss it. Truth 10, I will end the day better than I started. Every sunrise is a contract. The world gives you 24 hours, no refunds, no extensions. The question is, will you end richer in wisdom, stronger in character, and closer to your potential, or will you end drained, distracted, and the same as yesterday? Seneca, the Roman Stoic, had a nightly ritual. He reviewed his day and asked, what failing did I overcome? What habit did I resist? Where did I improve? He didn't chase perfection, he chased progress. And that's what makes the difference. Because if you end the day better than you started, even by 1%, you are unstoppable. Improvement is compound interest for the soul. Think about this: 1% better every day for a year equals a 37 times improvement. That's not motivational math, it's hard numbers. 1.01 to the power of 365 is roughly 37.8. Imagine your patience 37 times stronger, your focus 37 times sharper, your resilience 37 times deeper. That's what daily review builds. Contrast this with most people: they binge scroll, numb, and collapse into bed without reflection. The result, they repeat the same mistakes tomorrow. Reflection isn't guilt, it's growth. It's how ordinary days stack into extraordinary lives. Take Benjamin Franklin. Each night he asked himself, what good have I done today? This single question guided him to become a statesman, inventor, writer, and one of the most influential figures in history. Or think of Marcus Aurelius. Amid war and plague, he wrote Meditation, his private evening reviews. He wasn't writing for the world. He was correcting himself, shaping his soul. If emperors and geniuses needed nightly reflection, why would we think we can grow without it? So here's your practice, the nightly 3. Ask yourself first, virtue lived. Did I act with wisdom, justice, courage, or temperance today? Second, virtue missed. Where did I fall short? No judgment, just data. Third one, correction tomorrow. Small, specific, actionable. Write it in a notebook or whisper it to yourself before sleep. This simple ritual transforms your pillow into a classroom. Commit to 21 reflections in 30 days. Track one habit like patience, workouts, or focus. Expect at least a 10 to 15% improvement in consistency. Data shows journaling increases goal achievement rates by 42%. Imagine what that means if applied daily. Say it out loud, close stronger than you open. Because the last chapter of your day writes tomorrow's first line. When you end days better than you started, failure becomes fuel. Mistakes become teachers. Even terrible days become valuable because they sharpen tomorrow's strategy. You stop fearing imperfection and start respecting progress. And here's the hidden bonus: nightly review improves sleep. The brain loves closure. When you capture lessons on paper, you stop replaying them in your head. Instead of insomnia, you rest in peace because you know tomorrow will be wiser. If this truth resonated, comment right now, close stronger than you opened. Share this with someone stuck on autopilot, ending each day the same as they started. And subscribe to Making Life Better. Because here's the real Stoic secret: your mornings shape your days, but your evenings shape your life. Stop scrolling. Start forging. End today better than you began. And your future self will thank you.